apparently there is a Toronto politician that thinks city councils should be able to sue oil companies over the effects and the costs related to climate change. Yes, you heard that right. We have an article here from the Globe and Mail about a Toronto City Councillor that does indeed think, or is asking the question, Toronto should sue oil companies over climate change. We have a councillor here. This is Mike Layton. Well, let's dive right into this one. According to the article, according to the article that was published, where's the date? Published March 24th, updated on the next day this year. Toronto should follow the lead of a handful of U.S. municipalities and sue major oil companies for the billions of dollars in extra costs the city could incur. I repeat, could, that is a major key word that we really need to remember. Could, not would. Could incur in coming decades with floods and storms caused by climate change, says Councillor Mike Layton. We could be on the look for an enormous amount of money, into the billions, as a city. I'm a firm believer in the notion that polluters should pay. And of course, this is politicians in Canada will probably recognize that last name. He is in fact the son of the late Jack Layton, former leader of the federal NDP, I should say. Which I'm sure in Alberta and other parts of the country that rely heavily on energy, the fact that this comes from somebody with ties to the NDP in that kind of way, I'm sure this comes as a surprise to nobody. Now, continuing into the story, apparently he's moving with a motion at that week's council session that is apparently asking bureaucrats in the city to look at how much climate change is expected to cost the city and whether a lawsuit similar to those launched by governments across North America against tobacco companies is worthwhile. Against tobacco companies? I thought he was talking about oil companies. Wow. I'm not sure. That seems like a stretch. Tobacco to oil. I'm not sure what's going on here, but let's continue. That seems odd. I don't know how that. I don't know how we go from oil to tobacco. That's odd. That makes me wonder, was a proofreader asleep? Anyway, let's continue. The motion, seconded by Councillor Mike Coley, calls only for a staff report to come before Council's Infrastructure and Environment Committee at the end of the year. Any illegal acts would be subject to subsequent votes. Okay, the motion, study approval, has the approval of Mayor John Tory. It's weird, considering he's a conservative. Last time I checked, at least. Although he has not endorsed moving forward with a lawsuit. Councillor Layton's motion asks for a report on the long-term cost implications of climate change to the city. The mayor supports understanding the cost and sees no downside in understanding the possible the cost. Okay, well, let's look at this quote. If we're just going to look at what climate change could cost the city, fair enough. That I can understand. People may see that as a complete waste of time, a complete waste of money, complete waste of resources. That could take city staff away from other issues that maybe deserve far more attention. I don't get me wrong, I can understand that, but simply just looking at the problem and studying it, well, that's something I feel you could at least have a debate, and if something, at least for me, you may be able to convince me on if you have a decent argument. Now, next paragraph. Several cities in the United States, including New York and San Francisco, have launched similar climate change lawsuits against large oil companies, but U.S. judges have handed recent defeats to those cities in cases already regarded by many as long shots. Well, no doubt. Again, we go back. Remember I kept highlighting a word? Could incur. See right here. Could. What kind of Minority Report silliness is this? Taking a company to court over actions that has not even happened yet. It's ludicrous. No wonder judges have been throwing these out. I can't imagine a judge looking at this and looking at a case like that based on something that hasn't even happened yet, and not seeing it as a giant waste of not legislative, that's government, of judiciary resources. It's ridiculous. So, right, let's continue. Other Canadian municipalities have also been exploring the idea of climate change litigation. In January, Victoria City Council voted to ask the Union of BC Municipalities to consider launching a class action lawsuit against oil and gas companies over climate change costs. According to Mr. Layton's motion before Toronto City Council, the Insurance Bureau of Canada says the Greater Toronto Area has faced 100-year storms since 2005, storms that have caused millions in flooding and other damages. The storm that swamped much of Toronto in July 2013 saw GO trains stranded in the flooded Don Valley, caused $940 million in insurance claims, according to the Insurance Bureau of Canada, making it the province's most expensive and insured natural disaster. The City of Toronto bureaucrats at the time pegged the municipal government's own cost due to the storm at more than $600 million. Okay, we're almost done here. Keith Stewart, a senior strategist with Greenpeace Canada, which has been campaigning for cities to launch climate change lawsuits. Oh, so this could be a lobbying effort. That sentence makes it sound suspicious, like this is an environmental activist group pushing for certain results. Said recent revelations about how major oil companies sought to undermine the scientific consensus on climate change for decades means filing legal action over greenhouse gases can be more than political science. Absolutely the right thing. That's debatable. When you look at what New York, San Francisco, and open are doing, they're basically building on all this on the tobacco precedent. Finally, we realize what the hell tobacco had to do with the story. It's absolutely a real thing. Ontario is suing the tobacco industry for $50 billion. That's real money. Well, and just like that, we've realized what tobacco had to do with the story, and only to find out that it really had nothing. Now, let's be real. This is a ludicrous idea. Suing companies over something that hasn't happened yet. Is that the kind of world we want to live in? This is ridiculous. Now, if maybe there was a proven, undisputed link between the hurricanes and burning all these fossil fuels, then sure. And because it mentioned getting more storms. If we're going after past events, then sure. But still, I cover court at the newspaper I work for, so I've seen a lot of cases. The city would have to demonstrate that there is a link between the storm, hurricane, what have you, and the burning of the fossil fuels. And all I could say, if we can't even convince the average person that climate change is actually happening. How are you going to prove this in court? Layton may actually have a deep conviction. His heart may be in the right place, but this is still a ridiculous proposition that, quite frankly, is going to get laughed out of court, based on my experience. So, all I can say is this is one of the funniest articles I've seen in a long time, and I'm still wondering what the hell tobacco has to do with this. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please like the video. If you heard anything you agreed with, disagreed with, or just want to continue the conversation, please consider leaving a comment. Anyway, thank you again for watching. Please have yourself a good day.